So you're somebody that's been watching the market have its ups and downs, and now we have an excessive amount of inventory on the market, but you're just not sure if it's the right time for you to go ahead with that purchase. Well, I'm Michael Dougal, your Greater Toronto Area real estate resource, sharing with you 4 reasons to buy right now, as well as 4 reasons why you shouldn't consider buying right now. And if you do find the video informative, then click that subscribe and like button, and we're going to jump into the reasons why you should buy now, and then afterwards we're going to cover the reasons why you should not buy right now. The first reason you may want to consider purchasing a property is, of course, you understand that it's a good long-term investment. Yes, within the past 3 to 5 years, the average price hasn't increased too significantly depending on the property style. But if we take a look at the bigger picture, we can see that within the past decade, property values have pretty much doubled. So especially if you're somebody that has some cash savings on the side and you're able to qualify for a mortgage, you can go ahead, put that money into real estate. Just try not to be stressing about the volatility in the market and prices going up and down, because again, over the long run, you're going to benefit. The second reason to purchase a property right now is because of the fact that the market has cooled off. And typically when we see the market cool off, it doesn't last this long. So you may want to consider the fact that prices could go up anytime soon, although very few listings are selling. But once we see the next couple of interest rate decreases take place, likely more buyers should be in the marketplace, and you may miss out on that opportunity to purchase a property while the average price is less. The third reason to purchase a property right now is because the cost of home ownership will actually improve. And what I mean by that is that if you were to purchase a property right now, likely you're going to have to pay a very high mortgage. And if you were to rent out that property, what would happen is the rent wouldn't cover the mortgage. However, what we've seen historically is that rent increases, and as rent is increasing, in this case, it's going to be beneficial because likely your interest rate is going to decrease on your mortgage, especially if you got a variable rate mortgage. Would be that with time, you would rent your property for more and you would be paying less on the mortgage. So this is a double win in the sense of you could be even breaking even on this property, or maybe start to collect cash. And then at the same time, you were able to benefit by buying a property in this market where the average price is less than what it should be in the future. For example, in downtown Toronto, we have a lot of condo listings for sale. These rent very well. And if you had the money aside to put 35 to 40% down towards the property, you would be able to secure a great tenant and you'd be breaking even on the property. However, as time progresses, not only will you benefit from the appreciation of the condo, but also your rent would be in excess of your expenses. So you would be cash flow positive. And of course, the fourth reason why you may want to consider purchasing a property right now is just due to your life circumstances. People go through divorces. Maybe people need to upsize. And so these individuals aren't really thinking about the market conditions too much because they maybe save money and it's time for them to buy a house. And this should be very encouraging to all the realtors out there to understand, like, transactions will always be happening. We've not had a single month where 0 transactions took place. So don't worry, there's deals out there. All right, so now that we've considered the reasons why you may want to purchase a property, I'm going to actually convince you to not buy a property, and I'm going to share with you the reasons why you shouldn't buy so you can make an educated decision based on your unique circumstances. And the first reason why you shouldn't buy a property right now is because of the high prices. So despite us being in somewhat of a market shift or market cooling, the average price hasn't come down all that much. In fact, if we go back to 2017, 2018, when that market shift happened, the average price actually came down by 30 to 40% in some locations. However, now it seems that the average price is only down 10 to 15% versus the peak in early 2022. So the average price in the GTA is very high, especially when considering it to different areas of Canada. For example, in Nova Scotia, the average price is $450,000 roughly. And although this expense is easy to justify by telling ourselves that it's going to increase in value long term, or that most of the money is actually made through a mortgage, which we get to pay back, it's still just a lot of money, and that's a lot of headspace that it's taking up. I've seen individuals that could have done different things with their career. Maybe they could have studied abroad. Maybe they could go up and start a business. However, because they went ahead and purchased a property and had this mortgage to pay, they had to live a pretty conservative lifestyle. They had to stick to the same job versus taking a risk and starting their own business. So we have to acknowledge that, like buying real estate, there's a lot of responsibility that's as well attached to that. The second reason to not purchase a property right now is, of course, these high interest rates. So we've seen 2 interest rate changes so far this year where the rates have come down. However, given that the rates are still in the 4s or the 5s, if you actually look at like an amortization schedule, your first 4 or so years, what will happen is the payments that you're making are mostly going towards interest. They're not going towards your principals. And it's a little bit upsetting, to say the least, when you look at your statements at the end of the year and realize you've made these monthly mortgage payments and your equity in the property has barely increased. The third reason to not purchase a property right now is market volatility. Buying a property is stressful. There are ups and downs, and that has very interesting ways of working on your mind, because you could buy a property now, but what happens if we get in a recession next year and property values decrease even further? Then mentally, you're going to feel like you should have waited longer, and that's very difficult for most people to stomach, the fact that values could be going up or also going down. So I would say the most important thing is you get in the market. Your first property isn't supposed to be your dream home anyway, but it's supposed to be able to put you in a position where you're finally in the market, and it's a lot easier to upsize versus being a first-time buyer. And the fourth reason to not purchase a property right now are the rules in Ontario. And this is going to be somewhat controversial, but we want to acknowledge the fact that Ontario, in most cases, is going to favor the tenant over favoring the landlord. Let's say if you were to purchase a rental property. And we have the long list of expenses, which are only increasing from property taxes. We have double property tax in Toronto. We have capital gains. We have lawyer fees when we sell our properties in the future, as well as when we purchase. And of course, we want to acknowledge the fact, if you were to upsize, for example, you're paying for all these things: land transfer tax, lawyer fees, real estate commissions. And so after it's said and done, it's very difficult for you to actually make that move and it financially makes sense for you. So there you have it, the reasons to buy, the reasons to not buy. Of course, there's going to be so many mixed opinions on this, and this is why buying real estate is definitely not for everybody. But I'm somebody that's purchased real estate and I couldn't be happier. And if you're considering getting in the market, or if you have a property to sell, make sure to call me. And if you're a real estate agent looking for a great brokerage with an excellent community, training, and support to help you with your business, make sure to reach out to me to learn more about eXp Realty. I'm very active on Instagram and social media as well, and I look forward to seeing you next time.